you know, am I evil for this? Am I just the anti-marriage feminist belief who's down a dark, evil path? Is that me? The- But let me go to Pastor Nick. Yeah, is he up? Is he ready? Okay. Pastor Nick, just lead better. Um, hello.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Who is
Just lead better, right?
who else is on
Just
here?
love more. Oh, that's Steve
Oh, okay. Hi, Steve.
Sandman.
Hello. Yeah, you deal with Nick first.
Okay. Is he related to the story too, or no?
We just know each other.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know because I was gonna put him backstage until you were done, but I didn't know if he's
Fine.
in.
Nick and
Okay.
I have similar stories.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll put you on next. Is that all right? Could you put him backstage for a second, Blessing? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So yeah. So why didn't I wanted to see if you could tell the story you told me on the phone the other day, and just I wanted to know it's all your fault. You should have just led better. So I'll just start with that.
You should have led better. You should have loved more. Really, is what they say. You know,
Yeah.
you weren't loving enough. You didn't sacrifice enough. The Ephesians 5 just beat the men over the head with that. You're just not loving enough. You needed to be a servant leader.
Oh yeah. So
So,
so why
yeah,
didn't you
I
love
heard
more?
that. I did whatever I could.
Yeah,
I think it ended up actually furthering the destruction of my marriage.
really.
Oh
So
yeah.
so okay, so tell them first how you met your wife, your ex-wife, because that's like the first thing they'll say is you just should have vetted better. So where did you meet her?
Okay, I met her online, and she was a Christian woman. She had to pass I gave her a few theological questions that she had to pass, and then I wanted to meet her, and I met her family. Her dad was an elder in the church. She was Presbyterian, Reformed Presbyterian, like I was Reformed Presbyterian. Very conservative, very traditional. That's how we met.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, she was way into me. It was crazy. Like now that you think about it, yeah. She was way into me at
Okay.
first. So
So what
she wanted to. Sorry, what?
how old was she?
She was 22.
Okay. So 22, church girl. Okay.
Yep.
So then what happened next?
22. Well, she was way into me. She wanted to rush into marriage. It was all too agreeable at first. She said she was a virgin, but there's no evidence of that. Granted, there could be reasons for that. But interesting, a few months into our marriage, this should have been like the huge thing to get out, but I didn't. I found Facebook messages of sexting while we had been engaged with random dudes and ex-boyfriends, and suggesting that she was not, had been doing things. The elder said, you just need to forgive her. You just need to love her and forgive her and move forward. I did. But then it gets worse. Um, she didn't want the sex stopped, pretty much stopped. It was kind of like that, oh, every once in a while, once in
Mhm.
every month or two. And, whenever I try to insist on something to lead the family well, she'd call up the church elders, call up her dad. She'd try to jump up the hierarchy to smash me down.
Mhm.
And so basically, the church leaders would white knight for her for a long time. This even included one of my former mentors. And soon, about the same time, she started beating me. Um, and then it progressed to threats to kill herself with knives and holding a gun to her head. But then she would also beat herself up, hitting things with her head and hands. And then she would call me abusive for trying to stop her from hitting me. Like I'd have to restrain her just to get out of the room.
Mhm.
Um, then I gained weight, so that probably didn't help either.
Mhm.
I tried working through my marriage with others for years. I'd get better, I'd mature. She'd still do the same crap. Then around 2020, she started getting called out by friends and family for her deceit and lies, yet I still protected and believed her. She started losing it with the kids. Family was warning uh, about trying to steal from my grandmother and the inheritance. My friends turned on me when I started to fight against feminism in the church. And I was being attacked as a pastor in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church
Mm.
for my stances, standing up for my friends and standing against, you know, feminism. Well, my grandmother passed away. The inheritance eventually came in. All of a sudden, she had a privacy screen on her phone. She would hold the phone away from me so I couldn't see it. She would put her phone, face down when she'd go to sleep. Then she started of course, there's virtually no sex during this time, but she would now refuse to even sleep in the same bed or room with me. She would go on trips without me. She would delete her messages. She would always hang up. She would hang up quickly when I sometimes came into the house or the room. And then she was involved with nasty women at women's Bible study groups, which I call gossip groups,
Mm.
with pastors' wives that seemed to despise me.
Wait, so she met a lot of these friends at the women's groups at church.
Oh yeah, the churchly ladies,
Wow.
pastors'
But why didn't
wives.
you but why didn't you watch her friends? I thought you were just supposed to just lead better.
I thought I was doing the right thing. I wanted her to have godly friends.
Yeah. No, you should have just led more. Sorry.
Well, I started to catch on, but it was
Yeah.
too late at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not like you can monitor every conversation she has.
no.
Okay.
And then I got counsel from the church. We started doing counseling. Then she didn't like the counseling we're doing. She admitted to the pastor that we're going to counseling, his fellow presbyter in that presbytery in South Dakota. She admitted to beating me. And then uh, probably about a month or two later, the incident happened where I was trying to do the advice that the pastor told us to do, not to have sexual relations, but to be sexually intimate, but not just suggests to slowly try to gradually to get back into that. And I made an advance suggesting what the pastor suggested to do. She rejected me. I got pissed. I told her, I'm out of here, get the F out of the car. I drove about an hour and a half away to go fishing. It was too cold. So I didn't have the right equipment to go fishing. This is South Dakota. It's end of November. It's cold. So I'm there. I pray a little bit. I chill out. I come back. I'm calm in my right mind. There's a car. I drive by. There's a car sitting at the house, and the lights are on. And I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't know at the time. Apparently, it wasn't another guy, but found out later. But at that time, I didn't know. So I'm like, this is weird. So I just wait for them to leave. I come in, and she's got this weird smile on her face, and I have alarms going off in my head. So I took the phone as we had an agreement to check each other's phone whenever we wanted. She flipped out on me. She started hitting me, trying to tackle me, the works as she usually did. And I did what I usually did. I got the hell away from her. I ran to the church and locked the doors. So I didn't think she had a key to the church.
Mm.
And while I was running away, she started screaming, help, help, help. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
Apparently, I found out as I was going through her phone that she had been trying to construct a history of abuse, trying to establish a history of abuse with like her pastor friends and some of what I thought were my friends. She was telling them things that were not entirely true or not true at all, twisting the facts. They tried to tell her to get out of, they told her, I'm abusive and you need to leave. Meanwhile, I also found texts where she's trying to get me for like marital rape or grape. Probably shouldn't have said that online, but
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
where she was I think I'm assuming it was about me, where she was asking about a rape kit to a friend in like Louisiana, and her friend said that's not how it works. You consented to this. It's not rape. You can
Okay,
do
do say grape though.
better.
Do say grape. Do say grape when you
Great,
say the,
great.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So she said you could do better.
Yeah, her friend told her you could do better.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like they were saying that because I was like, why aren't we being intimate? And her friends are saying that I'm being abusive for saying that it's wrong for her to refuse continually refused sexual intimacy, which she was doing.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So police come in, they invade the church, somehow get in a locked door. I have lasers pointed on my chest. I'm thinking I'm gonna die.
The
I'm
p
thinking they're gonna kill
She
me.
got the police to come to the church?
Yeah, they came into the church. Somehow they got a warrant from the Jezebel judge, the one I defied. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, they invaded the church. I had lasers pointed at my chest, and they wanted me to turn my back to them and all this stuff. I wasn't going to do it. I said, "Nope, I'm just staying still. You can do what you need. I'm not moving." Because I didn't want to. I could be spastic, and I didn't want to make any sudden moves. They had lasers on me. I don't want to turn
Mhm.
my back. I don't want to get shot.
Mhm.
So they hauled me off to jail. I get out of jail. I find out the next day that I had $40,000 missing from my inheritance and had been taken from like the day that I wrongly gave her the check to deposit to set up an account in my name.
Wow.
$20,000 about was missing initially. Then like 3 months later, another transaction, and a few months later, it's another transaction transferred to some account that I don't know where it is.
Mhm. Wow. So, when did you was there more, or did you then I'm guessing you guys started filing for divorce, one of you?
I don't know, like she took the kids over 1,000 miles away to Louisiana while I was in South Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I had the whole pending criminal trial, and I just moved to Texas, and I was working in the oil and gas field, and the lawyer said, "I don't think you really want anything to do with my case." He said, "Look, just plead to disorderly conduct. Nobody really cares about this."
Mhm.
And not thinking I did that because at that point it had been like 5 months since I even like seen or touched my kids. I just wanted it to be over.
And how tell the audience, 'cause I don't think you mentioned it, how many kids you had?
I have 7 children.
So, you had 7 kids for like, what else could you found a girl in church, the same church, you had 7 children with her. You even forgave, like, cheating at one point at the beginning, it sounded like, during the engagement, and you forgave
Mhm.
that, you overlooked that, and now you have a court case for so she got you on disorderly conduct for running away from her when she was hitting you? Am I
Yeah, what do you
understanding it right?
expect? You have women judge. The whole circuit in South Dakota is made up of women judges. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
expect to win. I don't think so.
women judges, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so
Plus, I
then
just wanted it to end. I wanted to see my kids.
and then you had it so then at that point, you hadn't seen your kids in 6 months, they were 1,000 miles away, and I'm
And
sure
it took
and
8 months total to finally see them in person.
wow, and I'm sure she told everyone in the community you were just an abuser,
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
oh yeah.
yeah."
She'd been constructing that before it happened.
I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot where they'll the last guy I interviewed with that, they did she did it at school. So because, like, they're more involved in the community, that's, I guess, what they'll do because they just have more time, I guess.
Well, well, she had already had contacts with like other leaders in the community there and back home. She was telling them all about me. Some were police officers.
Wow.
One was the chief of the police. One was another couple other head pastors, and
Mm. So,
I was deeply screwed.
so then, like, what's your, so then after 8 months, you went to court. I'm guess
No, I just had the lawyer represent me.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
sorry.
I had to go to court again because I purposely violated the order order of the judge, where she said I can't even like. She extended the like do not contact because I wanted to like.
Mm,
She extended the do not contact, so I still couldn't see my kids basically. And then she still said I couldn't have like any alcohol. I'm like, wait, I'm a minister of the Lord Jesus Christ. The sacraments are bread and wine, and I'm going to do that.
mhm,
I don't care what you say. I'm going to take it. And if I need to, I'm going to serve it. And you know, they do not have the rights to usurp the crown rights of the Lord Jesus Christ. So that's the Presbyterian in me. We were very defiant about those things. So I purposely defied the order of the judge in email to several ministers.
mhm.
I got 2 weeks in jail for that.
You went 2 weeks in jail for
Oh
serving.
yeah, I reached 30
Wow.
people. It was good. Yeah.
No, that's actually so she there But that's the thing, they try to take your livelihood. It's like you obviously loved being a minister, and so
Oh yeah, I
that's
demitted the ministry in September, so
you what?
I'm no longer a minister. I'm no longer a minister, but I still help people. So
Oh, wow. How has this, has it affected your faith at all?
I almost became an atheist a few months ago.
Yeah, I could imagine, especially when you're going to church leaders and then, like, that's the response they're getting.
Man, the ones that you think that your friends are the ones telling you you're in sin, you did wrong. You need to move to Louisiana, be close to her and your kids. I'm like, and all my family's like saying, "Do not do that. She will throw you in jail again."
Wow. So when's the last time you've seen your kids now?
So I now am able to get them one weekend a month. So I saw them last weekend.
Wow. How old's your oldest?
She's 10.
Does she have any, like, inkling that the mom's crazy? From what I've seen, they kind of figure it out around, like, 12 maybe, that the mom's kind of nuts.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the younger one sees it, but unfortunately, I think the younger daughter, so that's the second oldest one,
Hmm.
she's unfortunately I start seeing the same crazy behavior in her lately. So
Um, so I guess, were there any, like, red flags? And just because there's younger guys watching this, like, what do you think there was anything you could have did to prevent the situation in hindsight? Or, like,
I wish I had the knowledge
yeah,
that I have now. I wish I read Rich Cooper's and Rollo Tomasi's book before I got married.
yeah.
I would have prevented a lot of this stuff. I would have never gotten with this woman. It could have prevented a lot of things, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you learn the hard way.
How much money did you lose total?
The inheritance, I'm still trying to figure that out in court. So that's 40, and I've probably spent. I'm still going through the process, so it's been over a year now. I've probably spent with all the different lawyers and everything, probably another. I'd say 40,000.
Wow, it's almost 100K. I mean, to put that in context, the average person makes like 45K a year. That's like 2 years' salary. So,
Yeah.
um, well, thank you for coming on and telling your story. Is there any other part that we missed that's like important, or anything you want to say to like the guys watching?
Vet your women carefully. Don't rush.
Okay, we're gonna do the religion part later, but I'm gonna bring on the next guy. Um, but thank
Sure.
you,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Someone said I went to spend 200K. I'm sorry, what was your name? I can't hear him. It might be us though. Let me see.
Can you
So
unmute your
everyone
mic?
keeps saying that because he's in
Okay, you can hear me now.
yeah, 1 second. I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to let you go. So everyone keeps saying that because he's in good spirits, or he's like, I keep seeing things in the chat that he's lying, that what are we? Sorry, I'm reading random stuff. Okay. People keep saying that he's lying in the chat because he has it written down. Guys, sometimes these court cases take years, and there's so many details to these stories that you have to kind of pick, what stuff you're even going to talk about. Because generally, when I talk to guys, there's so much we would be here all day. But yeah, yeah. So just because he's smiling, that doesn't mean he's not. Anyways, so I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Steve Sandman.
Steve, was it?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Steve. Welcome to the show. So,
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm not overly familiar with your story. So, are you involved in the church too?
No, I'm just a guy. I was trained as a mechanical engineer, worked in that. Now I'm a truck driver. I've been twice divorced. Both times were really involved.
Okay.
So I was accused twice of having bad inclinations towards daughters.
Oh, shit.
Never accused of doing anything, but bad inclinations.
Oh, so what happened?
Well, can we limit it to the second round?
Yeah, that's fine. So what happened?
I got divorced the first time. It was horrendous. And lost touch with my two adopted daughters, and I haven't seen them for 15 years.
Mhm.
And they're in their 20s now, but they've kind of bought the narrative, and they have to get along.
Mm.
So the second time around, I was involved early on in the manosphere and the red pill world. Some of the early blogs back around 2009, 2010. And I married one of the women who was active on there. Vetted her pretty well. She had just become Catholic. And we talked about a lot of the serious things. She was from Canada. So she immigrated here. And even though we thought, we both believed the state marriage wasn't perfect, I had to do it so she could stay in the US. And it worked pretty well. Happily married since it was my second marriage and her second marriage, and we were Catholic. At one point, she said, "Well, let's have this brother sister type marriage without sexual relations." Okay, because we were going to go through annulment, and that took more time and effort than it didn't happen immediately.
Mm.
And so things kind of dissolved from there. But even though we still got along good, never argued, then all of a sudden, um, she wanted separation and divorce. And I think it was due to past guilt and I put guilt in three areas: um, sexual partners, reproductive guilt, which is abortion, or maybe things you did during pregnancy, and uh, possibly a child with someone other than your previous husband. Those are the three things that women lie about. So, anyway, we went through a divorce. Once she filed, didn't want any talk, didn't want any discussions with a priest to try and resolve things, which I really wanted to do. Um, Eventually, she was lying about things. I went back into marital home, which was under her name. And I was eventually charged with felony burglary for that. And I eventually pled it down to trespassing. But the point was, by the law, doesn't matter whose name the house is in, it's marital property during until decided otherwise. So I trespassed in my own house. Well, it was under her name, but I paid all the taxes and everything. So
Wow.
she had two daughters, and I think it resolves around issues there. And you know what? Before we go any further, I choose not to hate her because that's poison. That just poisons myself.
Mhm.
And so uh, I don't want that.
Mhm. So when did she accuse you of, I forgot the exact term you used, but something with the daughter?
Well, when we first started getting together, at the time she accused me of talking to her 9-year-old daughter about grape. 10 years, well, 9 years ago at the time.
Wow.
And it was absurd. It didn't even make sense. She went to talk to a priest. The priest reported me to the authorities. Nobody ever investigated. The priest never told me about it. I found out later. I wrote to the bishop saying, "Hey, I'd like an investigation here. What happens?" He referred it to the head pastor, the head priest of the
the parish, and then nothing happened from there. So
Mhm.
uh, then it went through court, and there are no Catholic women in divorce court. Let me tell you that.
I've seen it. No, there's no Catholics are not special. Catholics are because Michael Knowles is Catholic. He's saying find you a special Catholic woman.
Yeah, right. Hey, remember, Eve was without sin when when God created her for Adam. Well,
Right,
it was a man and woman at that time, but yet she rebelled.
right.
Is the problem with women hypergamy, or is it rebellion?
Mm. So, how much did you end up spending in the divorce? And did you guys have
Uh,
your own kids together or no?
no,
So, you said when women lie, it's about you said abortion, sexual partners, and one other thing.
uh, possibly a child with someone other than the previous husband.
Okay. So, and you said she had guilt from that.
Well, she had a child born premature. She uh, was poor at the time, born in California, premature, probably cost the state of California $1 million. When she went in, they wanted to do a blood test. She
Mhm,
refused that and said, "Well, they wanted to do a blood test to see if there was drugs in my system."
mhm,
Well, they didn't find any drugs because they didn't do a drug test.
right.
And so, okay, that was her excuse. So, do I know that anything happened? No. You have to kind of read the tea leaves when it comes to women. I believe she was honest with me about her sexual past,
Mhm,
but women carry, these things causes guilt. And why do women make false rape claims? Well, it's guilt, so they don't have to take responsibility.
mhm.
Is it just limited to those bad women, or do, is it possible that with the history of women these days who have a past, there are hidden baggage?
What would you recommend to young guys that want to avoid that kind of situation? Is there any way to
Well,
prevent it?
uh, let me see. I made 3 comments because I watched your interview with Michael Knowles. Yeah, find a woman. Okay, they always say find a religious woman. Find a woman in church. Well, okay, that's kind of good. But more importantly, find a woman that can be led.
Mm,
So that's my first thing. And then figure out that there could be these sexual or this hidden baggage. And guilt can really drive a woman to do things because she doesn't want to be accountable. She has shame. What would happen if someone found out in the church atmosphere or whatever?
mm,
That's why sometimes religious or even Catholic women could be worse because they need an excuse to say
right.
man bad. Um, and then your idea of a prenuptial agreement,
Mm,
and Michael Knowles said no prenup. Well, let's find a common ground. Prenup is viewed as what happens in the event of a divorce.
mhm.
How about you sign a nuptial agreement, which defines traditional marriage as to what the man does and what the woman does, and then what the repercussions are in a divorce. But it's not a prenup, it's just affirmation of a nuptial agreement that counters the civil law. And really, why does the Catholic Church let the state be a gatekeeper to the sacrament of marriage?
I think they get money or some sort of kickback. That's the only thing that makes
Well,
sense to me.
oh, it's simpler than that. They want to be good Americans because Catholics were persecuted, or discriminated against. Let's
Mhm.
not say persecuted, discriminated against. So they wanted to be good Americans. So they want to be a law abiding. And that's what the bishops went with. And
Mhm.
so they have allowed the state, you have to get a marriage license to get the sacrament of marriage. Therefore, the state is a gatekeeper to a sacrament. Now, I know not all Christians believe it's a sacrament, but still, the state is a gatekeeper.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Uh, so how did that whole situation like affect your life? Like how long did that whole process take? How did it affect your reputation? Like what happened?
Well, the second marriage, it took a couple years. I
Okay.
don't know. I probably spent $40,000.
Wow.
She got an unequal distribution, but hey, I didn't get any spousal support or any child support for the second time around,
Mm.
and now I get to keep my money,
Yeah.
and I'm doing pretty well.
Okay. That's good
Hey,
to hear.
life is not about making a lot of money. Sometimes life is about adventures,
Yeah.
and we never learn things until it's too hard not to learn.
Well, thank you for calling in and telling your story.